So we're here to talk about rules. I'm going to do it. Rules is fairly new functionality. Rules have always been supported, or rules engines have always been supported in IPP. What is new, and I say new, this is with 7.3, which we just released a few months ago. What is new is the ease at which you can now set up rules. We had a business analyst in mind when we started working on this project. What we wanted to do was simplify it to the point that the people who know the business best, which is our business analyst, will be able to come into IPP and set up the rules. No need for an IPP Jedi Master to set this up anymore. It's pretty much your business analyst should be able to do this. I'll let you guys draw your own conclusions from how easy this is to set up, but I think we've been pretty successful. So what I want to do, really, I think the best way to walk through this and understand how rules work is to work from a business scenario. And here's the scenario, the simple scenario that I've set up for the demo. This is a pre-approval scenario in which a bank wants to implement an automated process to pre-approve unsecured loans. By the way, I'm assuming everyone is hearing me and can see my desktop, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. So our scenario, you have a bank, they want to implement an automated process to pre-approve unsecured loans. Loans can be pre-approved for a maximum amount of $50,000 based on the customer's net monthly income, credit score, and whether the applicant is an existing bank customer. So there's three data points. The maximum pre-approved loan amount of the loan is calculated by multiplying the applicant's net monthly income by 10, 6, or 3, depending on their credit score. And the credit score is, there's three ranges: excellent, good, and fair. Anything over 760 we'll consider excellent. Anything good is 700 to 759. We'll consider that good and give them 6 times their monthly income. Fair is 640 to 699. And we'll give them an extra bonus of somewhere between 1,000 and 5,000 if they're an existing bank customer. If you don't have a credit score of 640 or better, forget it. We're not going to give you any money. Not pre-approved. You can come into the bank, maybe we'll talk, but we're not going to do it as part of our automated process. Okay. So that's the scenario that we'll be working with. So how would you do this in IPP? Well, let me log into our storefront, and we'll go to the modeler, which, with everything in IPP, you start with the model, right? Take just a second. Make sure this is the right one. All of our solution instances. And we'll open up the model. This session is about rules, so we're not going to go into a whole lot of depth about the model and setting up models. I'll just kind of show you how the model is set up and how simple this really is. First time logging in can take just a second. So here I have a model called loans. Close the details for loans. And I have a simple single process called pre-approval. Okay. The pre-approval process has 3 steps and a trigger. So you have a manual trigger, a step where you enter customer information. It then goes to a rule task for some calculations, and then it comes back and will contact the customer. So in the first step, you enter customer information. That customer information is a data contained in this customer info structure type. Let me open this. Here you see there's 3 pieces of information from our scenario. We have net monthly income, a number. We have a Boolean as to whether this is an existing customer, and we have a credit score that's also a number. This data is entered here in this first step, and it then gets passed to this rules task, which passes it to the rules engine. The rules engine then spits out a calculation, data based on calculation, which is the max loan amount. Let's open that. This is a structure type. I could have created this as a primitive, but it's my model. I ended up creating a structured type. It's a loan amount. It's again just a number. Okay, so that'll be our amount between nothing and $50,000. So once the rule does its thing, all of this data will be presented back in another step called contact customer, just so the information is available and the business can do with it what they want. The one piece we're missing here is all the logic from the rules, and we're going to go and create this in just a minute. From a modeling standpoint, the only thing we're missing here is the rule set. And we need to go define this rule set, which defines our business rules. We define this in a different perspective. We define this in the rules management perspective. And then this is where we'll spend most of our time now. Monitor just went to sleep. I'm sorry. So as I said, we needed to find our rule set. I've actually have one here. I've already added, but there's nothing in it. Rule sets define, well, they do two things. One, they act as a container for your rules, either decision tables or scripted rules. We'll go into some detail in just a minute. They also define your data scope. In this case, I need to define my input and output parameters. And from our model, remember, we need to, this is our customer info and our max loan amount. So let's go ahead and do that. It's real simple. Type in a name for this customer info. This is my end data. It's not a primitive. It is a structured type, and it's listed here, so just select it. I also need an out. Out is max loan amount. Type. This is our output data. It is a structured data, and it will be this one, my max loans amount structure type. We can give this rule set a different name if we want. Update. And at this point, we're pretty well done with the rule set itself. And what we need to do now is actually go into the nitty-gritty of setting up our logic, our business logic, our rules. We've got two options to do this. If you right-click this, you can see you have an option to create a rule, which I sometimes refer to as a scripted rule. Our rules are based on JBoss rules, so you need to, in order to use this option, you need to really understand JBoss rules, scripting, how to create a DRL file. We're not, that's a little bit out of scope for this session. We're talking about simple rules, but if you do know rules, you'd rather create rules this way. We provided a very nice editor. It has syntax handling, it's got auto-completion. Give it a name. Fine. And here you can see it's got snippets, keywords, auto-completion. Pretty cool. Everything you would need, everything you could possibly want for a rules editor. Okay. But again, this is a bit out of scope. Really what we want to do is create our decision table. We'll be focusing for most of the rest of this session. We can give this a name. Pre-approved table. The first thing we need to do here, well, I guess let's just start at the top, kind of explain what a decision table is. If you've never worked with rules, These are very intuitive for most business analysts. This is kind of a spreadsheet type thing where you define your actions, your conditions, and your actions. Conditions being your sort of your if statement. So if these things happen, then do something. The do something part of that is the action. In our decision table, our conditions are our inputs. It's defined as our input parameters, which we define in our rule set, and our actions are can be any of the outputs. Okay, and I think we defined one in and one out, one structure type. These are all added as columns, and then your individual rules themselves are rows in the columns, rows in the table. One other thing to mention, rules does have a lot of attributes. You know, if you understand, if you've ever worked with rules, you probably understand this a bit. We make these available, and you can just select them here. But for the most part, the only one you need to be concerned with is this lock on active. We add this to the table by default to prevent infinite loops. So unless you really know what you're doing, you know, leave this one alone. Just leave it in there. Leave it enabled. I'm not going to add any attributes. What I'm really concerned with is my conditions. Again, this is my sort of my if. If this happens, then do something. In the first part of this, we want to set up our net monthly income. This is a range, you know, for between some two values. So I'm going to click this, and I'll add two of these to our table. Every time I click, it adds it to the table. We also need, we base our decisions on whether it's a customer is an existing customer or not, and also credit score, and our credit score is a range. So we're going to need two of these. What is our action? Our action was to calculate a maximum loan amount. I'm going to add that in, and I close this, and I have the basic structure of the table now. Okay. The other thing here, the next thing we need to do is work on our operators. So for our conditions, we have a number of operators: equal to, not equal to, greater than, all of this. Since we're defining a range, we would use greater than or equal to for this one, and less than or equal to for the upper range. These operators vary by the data type. If you recall, this was set up as a number, so I get all of the different operators that are logical or appropriate for that number. Had this been something like, well, for a Boolean, where's my Boolean? For Boolean, you're really limited to something like equal, right? Because it doesn't make a lot of sense to do much anything else. If this were a date, you would have some different options like after or before. If it were a string, you would have these basic options. But you might also have a few others that some of the odd ones that they have in rules are things like sounds like or matches, some of the things like this. Also, the different fields themselves correspond to the type of data. So this is a number, so it will accept a number. In this case, 5,000. I'll put in 5,000. That's the upper end of our range. Had this been, say, a date, you would get a date picker. You can see for my Booleans, I get a checkbox. Put the upper end of my range here. Need to do my credit score. Again, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Do the upper end of the range, and then we'll put sort of an infinite range here as well. And my max loan amount here would be $50,000. Is my maximum loan amount. So I've just created my first rule. I have a rule that says if Entered value for net monthly income is between $5,000 and $99,999, and this is an existing customer, and the credit score falls within the range of 760 to 999. Then set the max loan amount to $50,000. Okay, that's what the rules do. I could also enter an optional description, like max amount, and that just helps me. It's not really any part of the rule. It's just helps the user putting this. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need one more row here. So in order to insert a row, I'm going to say insert row below. I can insert it above. I got all these different options. These are all in the context menu. Just right click a row. I'm going to need one more. So for each monthly income range, I'm going to need 6. To handle all the different possibilities. One of the cool things we have here, and this came sort of out of the box with the table. This is all based on hands-on table, an open source piece. You can actually populate all the rows in a column by dragging this down. Big time saver. That gives my full range right there for my 5,000. My next rule, basically just to cover the scenario where this is not an existing customer. There's really no change in the max loan amount in this particular case. It's just there for completeness sake. The next one is based on our credit score. So if you have the same income range and you have a maybe a lower credit score, just goes to 700, 759. Well, now your max loan amount drops down to 35,000. Okay. And then you would have a similar with that same credit range. Work. But they're not an existing customer, then they get a different amount. We'll say 30,000. Okay. So on and on it goes. You'll have to fill out this table completely, and then when you're done, you just save it. And then go back to your model and select this rule set, deploy, and you're ready to go. I have one that I've already completed, so let me switch over there. So just so we don't spend you guys don't spend the next 20 minutes watching me fill out this table. Not a lot of fun. So let's go back to solutions. Okay. This one ready to go. Sure we don't get it too confused here. I think we did. Out of this one, see if it'll pull it up. There we go. I don't do that. There we go. So now I'm into the solution that I've completed here. This is the decision table, the complete decision table again. It's just a continuation from what I was showing you a second ago. Once you've done your pre-approval decision table, you saved your rule set. In order to get this to work, just come into your model. Process. You click on your rules task. This is already set up as a rules task. Hopefully not too far off screen. You guys can see this. You come into your implementation and you just select your pre-approval rule. Any rule sets that you've set up will appear here, and you just select whichever one makes sense for this particular rules task. You would save this and deploy it. This does require an LM environment. Can't run this and say just an Eclipse and get this to work. It actually does have to require an LM environment. We get this working. See if we can actually see this run. Okay, so I'm logging into the solution instance. This is actually running in our LM environment. So mentioned earlier, our pre-approval process had a manual trigger. We'll enter a value, let's say 3,000. Existing customer and a credit score. Good credit score. Let's say 650. This expect what did I say? 3,000, 650 score, and an existing customer. We expected return 19,000. Click this. Complete the task. 12,000. So I must have looked at it wrong. But you can see there's a monthly. It shows you again what it takes your inputs, your 3 inputs, and spits out an output. In this case, 12,000. 3,000 existing customer credit. Existing customer and 650. 12,000. So that's correct. This one, 3,000, 650, and existing customer. And that's basically what you want out of a rules engine, right? It's giving you some piece of data, some output data based on some inputs. In this case, I have 3 inputs. So let's do another one. $2,000, non-existing customer, and a really good credit score. Okay. Non-existing customer, and the credit score, and this is the way you test this, by the way. 2,000 non-existing customer. Credit score, what is my credit score? 50. 12,000. So that pretty much wraps up rules. Like I said, we've gone through a very simple scenario. You can see it is set up. It may take you a little while to put the decision table together, but once you have your rule set defined, you know, it's pretty easy to get this going. I think you can see a business analyst could do this without any trouble. So I guess I will open the floor up for any questions you guys might have.
When you're setting up these rules, if you set up a table that has like some very specific instances, but then anything that doesn't meet that criteria, you want to end up with some default value, is there a way to just specify, like if it doesn't meet any of these conditions, just set it to this default?
Yeah, I don't know that you can do that in the decision table. This is all based on rules. I know Governor has some concepts like otherwise. We did not build that in here. So I don't, yeah, I think out of the box, we don't have that. So you'd have to sort of account for the rules. These are all your conditions are sort of anded together. It'll need to look for all those conditions, and if all of those meet, then it will do the action. And the actions can be multiple actions.
Hey, Carl, this is Anoop here. I guess the possible alternative might be to convert the decision table into a DRL itself and then use the free-form rules editor and code the otherwise over there.
Yep. You can see what the way I sort of handled this in my decision table is I just put a sort of an infinite or a very large number here for that monthly income on one side. And then anything below this just won't return anything.
Okay, thanks.
Any more questions? Comments? You like it? Don't like it?
One question. So if say I've already set up a rule and somehow I have again typed the same rule in the table, so would it give me some indication that this rule has already been defined in the decision table?
No, one of the things we did not sort of fell out of scope because of the time was the ability to sort of test these within the rule perspective itself. We hope to come back and add that fairly soon. But no, there's at this point there's no indication that you have multiple rules set up. I don't know that this is a real issue. I think Drools has some built-in capabilities to handle the multiple, unless they conflict.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? So, you guys think a business analyst could work from this? Any concerns that this still may be a bit too complex, or does it look about right?
I think a business analyst could definitely do it. It's just a matter of how complicated the rules need to be, whether it could get cumbersome depending on how complex the logic is.
Yeah, I agree. So I think a couple things we've made very easy, I think, and that is the coupling between the model and the rules themselves. This is not necessarily that easy, in sort of the old solution, but I think we've made that very easy here. The actual setting up of the rules, like I said, we've given you some tools here to make it easier, but it's still setting up rules. You're still going to have to walk through the process and think through it, and these could be quite complex depending on the situation. But hopefully that complexity of getting the rules engine up and running, getting it tied in with your model and the data that's in your model, and then getting your rules associated with a particular step, I think we've made that about as simple as we can. Okay, anything else? Well, I will, as with all of these open bar trainings, I've made a recording. I will put a link to the recording on the open bar wiki site itself. There's also some links up there where you can actually go in and play with the very environment that I've been working from. You can create your own. You can use it as a template, create your own solutions. But feel free to do so after you've had a chance to work with it directly. If you have any questions, you can let me know, or Anoop or anyone on the IPP staff to, if you have any concerns or questions, we'd be happy to address them. Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, thank you very much, and conclude the call.
Thank you very much, Kyle. Have a nice day. Bye.